The Assassin's Creed series has taken us on countless historical adventures since its debut in 2007, exploring everything from Renaissance Italy to ancient Greece and of course beyond. Over the years, the franchise has evolved a lot, whether it's in its gameplay, the size of the world, or the depth of its characters and the stories. But at its core, the series has always been about blending history with a thrilling mix of stealth, combat, and exploration. So if you're a fan of an Assassin's Creed, or just curious about the best entries in a long-running series, here's a little bit of a look towards some of the standout games. From those that stick to the stealth classic roots to others that push the series in bold new directions, while opinions differ about which games are the best, each entry brings something unique to the table. Oh, just to clarify, this is not a ranking, and instead these are some of my favorites. And Assassin's Creed Unity took players to the heart of the French Revolution, offering one of the most beautiful settings in the series. The game's version of Paris, with its enormous crowds and historically rich landmarks like Notre Dame, was actually quite stunning, especially at launch. But unfortunately, Unity had a very rough start. It was plagued by bugs and glitches, which unfortunately overshadowed the game's strengths. The map felt overcrowded with way too many side activities cluttering the experience. Despite these issues, if you stuck with it, the parkour system felt fantastic, making climbing up and down buildings more intuitive. The assassination missions also provided multiple ways to take down your targets, adding more freedom and strategy to the game. Once it got cleaned up, Unity turned out to be pretty darn solid entry, especially for the fans of the French Revolution setting. Afterwards, we're getting into an Assassin's Creed Syndicate that actually takes you to Victorian London during the Industrial Revolution, which is one of the most memorable settings in the series. You play as the twin assassin Jacob and Evie Fry, each with their own distinct personalities and perhaps some ways of abilities. Syndicate introduces a few new gameplay elements, like being able to zip across the city with a grappling hook or take part in horse-drawn carriage chases. While the story didn't push the large Assassin's Templar narrative forward in a huge way, the setting was immersive, with activities like working alongside historical figures such as Charles Dickens and fighting Jack the Ripper. The soundtrack also stands out, with each twin getting their own themes. Syndicate might not get as much love as others' entries, but it has its charm, especially if you're a fan of this era. Valhalla leaned heavily into action RPG side of the series, building on the groundwork laid by Origins and Odyssey. A little more about those later. As Eivor, a Viking warrior, you explore the 9th century England and the surrounding areas, raiding villages, building settlements, and navigating complex political alliances. The combat in Valhalla is heavier and more brutal, fitting quite to the Viking theme. The game also toned down some of the excessive loot from earlier entries, making rewards feel more meaningful. While Eivor may not be the most iconic protagonist in the series, Valhalla's mix of mythology and history is captivating. The world is full of mysteries to uncover, and the storyline, though long, very long, it keeps you invested through its mix of Viking conquest and Assassins vs Templar intrigue. Assassin's Creed Mirage feels like a throwback to the earlier games in the series. It's smaller in scale compared to the more recent, sprawling RPG entries, but this focused design makes it feel fresh. In this game you play as Basim, navigating the bustling city of Baghdad. The story centers around stealth just like in the older games, with assassination missions that feel true to the series' original DNA. There aren't tons of side activities, but that's what makes it special. Less fluff, more focus. However, the story and the character's development don't leave huge lasting impact, and the main villain isn't particularly memorable. But for fans of the classic Assassin's Creed experience, it's a refreshing return to the form. If there's one game that's really defined the series, it is Assassin's Creed 2. This is where it all began. Better parkour, deeper combat, more open-ended assassination missions, and a protagonist, Ezio Auditore, who became one of the most beloved characters in the gaming world. Set during the Italian Renaissance, Assassin's Creed 2 brought players into a beautifully realized world full of art, culture, and intrigue. The game introduces new features like the ability to swim, finally, and a home base you could upgrade, giving you reasons to invest time in side activities. The relationship between Ezio and Leonardo da Vinci also added a unique charm. And let's not forget about the wild ending where Ezio fights the Pope, only to be contacted by godlike figures speaking through him to someone in the modern day. It was a wild ride and one of the most impactful entries in the series. Following the success, of course, of the Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood built on a strong foundation of Ezio's story while adding new layers to the gameplay. Set primarily in Rome, this game introduces an idea of recruiting and training your own Brotherhood of Assassins. It was a cool mechanic that made you feel like you were building a real team, sending them off on missions or calling them in to help with the fights. Brotherhood also marked the first time multiplayer was introduced to the series, letting players to compete against each other in sneaky assassination matches. While it didn't change the formula as much as Assassin's Creed 2 did, it expanded on it in meaningful ways, making Ezio's saga even more engaging. Plus, Rome was a fantastic setting, with its mix of ancient ruins and renaissance of architecture. For those who loved both Altair and Ezio, Assassin's Creed Revelations was a fitting conclusion to their stories. This game didn't reinvent the wheel, but it delivered the satisfying end for two of the franchise's most beloved characters. Set in Constantinople, Revelations saw Ezio's tying up the loose ends of his and Altair's adventure. The addition of new mechanics, the ziplining through the city, was fun, though the then defensive mission fell flat for many players. Overall, the game was a mix of nostalgia and closure, giving a longtime fan a proper send-off for these iconic characters. If you followed the story from the start, the emotional weight of these final chapters make this entry worth playing. Assassin's Creed Odyssey pushed the series even further into RPG territory, taking a place in ancient Greece during the Peloponnesian War. You play as either Alexios or Cassandra, a mercenary with ties to both Sparta and Athens, navigating a world filled with political intrigue, war, and myth. The game's massive, one of the largest in the series, offering a vast open world filled with cities, mountains, and seas to explore. Naval combat makes a return, and new notoriety system means if you cause too much trouble, bounty hunters will come after you, adding a cat and mouse element to the gameplay. Odyssey also one of the most customizable entries, with a focus on dialogue choices, skill trees, and branching narratives. While its size can be overwhelming, Odyssey's vibrant world and engaging combat makes it a standout. Assassin's Creed Origins marked a major shift for the series. It introduced a new combat system, making fights more strategic and RPG-like, and focused heavily on exploration. And is set in ancient Egypt, the game follows Bayek, one of the founding members of an assassin's brotherhood, as he seeks revenge for the death of his son. The world of Egypt is breathtaking, with deserts, pyramids, and bustling cities to explore. Origins also introduced a loot system, giving you plenty of gear to collect and upgrade. The story is personal and emotional, and while the game laid the groundwork for future entries like Odyssey and Valhalla, it's worth playing for its stunning recreation of Egypt alone. Assassin's Creed Black Flag changed things up by making you a pirate first and an assassin second. Edward Kenway, the game's roguish protagonist, spends as much time on the seas as he does sneaking around on land. The naval combat in Black Flag is some of the best in the series, letting you upgrade your ship and take on massive sea battles as you explore the Caribbean. You can hunt treasures, battle legendary ships, and dive under the water to uncover hidden ruins. The seamless transition between ship and land-based gameplay was a game changer. Even if you're not a fan of the pirates, Black Flag is a must-play for its rich open-world exploration and unforgettable sea battles. In the end, the Assassin's Creed series has something for everybody, from the classic stealth-focused gameplay of the earlier games to the massive RPG world of more recent entries. Whether you're in for the history, the combat, or the open-world exploration, there's an Assassin's Creed game that will suit your taste. Tell me down in the comments as well, which is one of your favorite Assassin's Creed games. Thank you so much for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys all later.